No, see, it's live streamed. Okay. Oh, here's Jeff. I'll admit him while you're doing that.
I had a pop-up come on, so he should be coming in. I'm gonna get off YouTube on my website here and I'll make Jeff a co-host and then we're ready to go.
Okay,
Okay, we're good.
good. All right. I will call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mayor Canos,
Here.
Mr. Ribeiro,
Here.
Mr. Ruse.
Still signing on there.
But he's here. Mr.
He's
Strong,
Here.
Yes.
Mr. Trainer,
Here.
Ms. Zamara,
Here.
Mr. Zazzarino is absent for now.
Okay. Notice of this meeting was provided to the Bernardsville News and Courier News, filed with the municipal clerk and posted on the municipal bulletin board on December 4th, 2025. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, welcome to the March 16th, 2026 meeting of the Bernardsville Borough Council. Members of the public will be allowed to speak during the open session. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per speaker, which will be monitored and enforced by the borough clerk. Failure of the governing body to provide an audio recording or even a Zoom recording of this meeting will not invalidate this meeting or any action taken, including but not limited to the adoption of any ordinance, resolution, or motion. So the first thing we have is an open session for any comments from the public. I guess that's the only one we have, right? No, yeah. So
we only have one.
Yeah, on a work session. So
Right.
Would anyone, oh, I see, Fran. So you just need to unmute her.
Hi. So I just wanted to check in and say thank you for the roof progress. We're excited that those repairs are being made and they were out there in all kinds of weather. So thank you to them and to your team, Kevin. And I understand that the meeting that I missed in February, there was some parking discussion. And I've just been asked to share that there's concerned. I know that the spots are chopped up by signage. But there's concern that there's just also not enough spots because people don't listen to the signs anyway, or at least with the library staff parking portion, they don't. And there were some concerns that patrons shared with me about an app would be hard for them to use on the type of phone they have. So I just wanted to pass those on. I know you guys are working with the study and maybe we can talk when you work more on that, but I was asked to share that. So thank you, everybody. Good to see you.
Thanks, Fran. Anyone else in the public wish to be heard? All right, I'm not seeing any, so I will close the public session. We have several discussion items, and Kevin Murray is here to give us a public works update.
Good evening, Mayor. How's everybody doing tonight?
Good.
All right. So, Anthony, let me share.
Yeah, let me enable sharing here. Hold on.
I think I got it.
You got it? Okay.
Yep, says I'm sharing. Everyone
Good.
see the
Yep.
spreadsheet?
Yep.
Well, not yet. Just says you've started.
Why is that?
Double click to enter. Start sharing.
There you go.
There we go. Alrighty. So just a quick rundown of this year's snow events. What I ended up doing was I did a comparison of where we were last year with subcontracting out snow removal versus what we did this year since we moved the operations for sidewalks and parking lots in-house. If we were to stay with the same subcontract option, our grand total for this year without an increase would have been billed out to us was $80,260. I added a 3% increase, just that's kind of how pretty much everything's been trending. So with all the snow totals, with the plowing, putting the calcium down, shoveling sidewalks, our bill for subcontracting would have been $82,667.80. From the public works additional labor and expense costs, if you took the pelletized calcium for the sidewalks, that's something that we never really purchased in bulk before. We'd have a couple bags on hand, hit some spots, just to keep business as usual open. Doctor's office down below, library, Borough Hall, police station. So we bought it in bulk this year. It was just shy of $10,000. We did the capital. We were trying to realize that over 10 years. So with that, it was $5,500 was our estimate for the capital expenses. And then labor for our plowable events. So this was the additional labor it would have taken to do the sidewalks and parking lots. The employees were still here helping on roads throughout the storm. And then at the end, they would go do their respective routes for sidewalks and parking lots. Since unfortunately for budgetary purposes, most of the snow events came on Sundays, I calculated the average overtime rate or average double time rate throughout the year. So plowable storms, that was the cost per storm of just over $8,500. Then we had fuel and then maintenance, which is the wear and tear, cutting edges, shovels break, etc. per storm. So my estimated cost for our snow removal operations for sidewalks and parking lots is $25,580. So we're showing an avoided cost of $57,086.92 this year. That's carrying the capital over 10 years. The other thing I wanted to touch base on was
savings, Kevin.
Yeah. No, it was the guys did a wonderful job this year. Listen, this would not be possible if it wasn't for the crew that I have. So thank you for all your support in this. The other thing was the snow cleanup downtown, which I know was, highly requested from the businesses pretty much right after the snow stopped. In 2021, I'll highlight right here, we did a snow cleanup. With that, we hired 2 different contractors. Those were the bills for the snow cleanup for each one. And we still had Bernardsville Public Works employees working that evening. So if you take my estimate of $4,000 for labor for that, our 2021 snow cleanup cost was $18,140. Adding the 3% over the 5 years will put us at $21,029.23. Public Works did the entire downtown cleanup without any subcontracting over the course of.
Does anybody else still have Kevin?
Yeah, we lost him.
Yeah, we lost him.
His power just went out.
Power went out, I think.
Transformer below.
Yeah.
If he's
Oh,
at
boy.
Borough Hall, he's out.
He's in the DPW building, so there's no generator
Yeah.
there.
This whole side just went black.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Oh, there you go.
All right, I made the right call.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So maybe we move on and come back, Mayor, when he joins or something?
Yeah, I'll text him.
Maybe a little bit, right? They lost
say
power.
Nancy,
Nancy, does it make sense? There were a couple things we wanted to, sort of get the council's read on in terms of decisions that we need to make. I think one of the big ones was the sidewalk
Yeah,
situation.
we're not ready for that yet.
Okay.
What I'd like to do, it's way more complicated than I thought, and it is, there's a lot of engineering things, and so I would like to ask that at the next meeting that the engineer comes to the meeting to explain it to all of you, and then you can make a decision. And if they need a decision prior to that, then maybe we just have another Public Works Committee meeting and you guys can make a suggestion to the rest of the council or something like that. But there's a lot more involved than I thought.
No, that makes sense. That's fine. I was just
And
going to say we could talk about it now while we're waiting for Kevin, but since we can just move on.
We lost the mayor too.
Oh, we did.
Good.
Oh my
It's
God,
really
we lost the
loud.
mayor? Oh no.
Yep.
I heard like a huge boom outside. So
So things are booming and going out? Oh man,
it
I'm
was
glad I'm in
definitely
Chicago, I
transforming.
guess.
Probably transformer. Or something.
Jeez Louise.
Ken?
Well, Christine,
Yep, you're
grab
in
the
charge.
steering wheel.
You're
Okay.
next.
Hold on.
I mean, we still have quorum, right? Do we?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Kevin's back, by the way.
Kevin's back.
I do want to say
Oh.
that. Oh, Kevin Murray.
He's coming back.
There he is.
You can finish saying what you wanted to, Christine.
I do want to say what a great job our public works is doing. A lot of the stuff we talked for hours in our meeting on the 12th, and I'll let Kevin go back to his report, but in any case, there's no shortage of projects going on, and the fact that he's able to manage all of these things, superbly, in my opinion. It's just a very good change from years past, in my opinion, and I'm very happy about it. So, Kevin, I think your transformer blew over there. I
Anthony,
heard
can
it from
you-
my house, so if you're back, I'll let you go
Anthony,
back.
can you make him co-host?
Thought I did. Let me see.
He is.
I asked him to unmute.
There's Mary Jane's back.
Yeah, and the mayor's back. I'll let her in too.
You guys hear me? I'm sorry about that. Lost power and everything went a little crazy. Let me open the spreadsheet back up.
Yeah, you're muted, Mayor.
Yeah, I just made her co-host.
There you go. We just lost our power.
Do you have a
Can you guys hear
generator?
me again?
Yeah.
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 All right.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. So, like I was saying, Public Works did the entire downtown cleanup between 2 evenings and throughout the day this year to avoid having to hire the additional cost of subcontractors. So our overtime costs for those 2 evenings were $9,000, just about 10,000. So our avoided cost there was $11,114.27 versus if we had to hire subcontractors based off of, because it would have been done in one night opposed to 2.
That's
So-
really impressive, Kevin. I mean, I think there's less snow in 21 too, if I'm not mistaken.
I didn't look to see what the total was for that that actual storm, but so between the $57,000 in avoided costs with just the parking lot and sidewalk removal and then our snow cleanup, we're close to 68, just shy of $70,000 in cost avoidance this year. I don't truly view it as a savings, but I do treat it as an avoidance that we didn't have to spend.
Excellent. Thank you.
And just real
So
quick, when you say avoidance, we would have contracted for that, you're saying, right? Like we
correct.
would have, right, or got it. So we would have gone out and got local filing companies or others to help with what the DPW did.
Correct.
Right. Appreciate it. Thanks.
So just to talk about the snow cleanup really quick, my recommendation, I've talked to Nancy about this, is there any way that we could possibly extend out to the county to see if they would be responsible for Mendham Road and Mount Airy just for their snow cleanup, so it wouldn't be on the borough to clean up the roadway? I know we're never going to get the state to bite for a true downtown cleanup post major storms, but if we can get the county to at least chip in and supply something, I think it's worth the ask personally.
Yeah, even Claremont,
Yes.
there's those parking spots along the sides that they
Yep.
left.
That's what I
buried.
meant, Claremont. My apologies, not Mendham.
So
Yeah. Oh.
isn't there, I mean, it's fine to ask, but I would assume that this is regulated somewhere. It's it's sort of been determined somewhere in terms of what the county and what the state is responsible for each town. And if they're not, so either they're responsible for it and they're not doing it, or they're not responsible for it. So if they're responsible for it and not doing it, we should send them a bill.
I believe it was an agreement between the borough and the county at some point a long time ago, but I may be wrong about that. That's my recollection.
Stating that we would be responsible?
Yeah, that, I could be wrong, but I seem to recall that there was an agreement at some point in time, the borough said they would plow those roads, but I wasn't involved in
No,
the.
they actually, the county does plow them. It's just that they don't do a good job.
Oh, okay.
In other words, they just go down the center and there are
Yeah,
parking
right.
spots along the side that they don't do. So it would be worth, I don't know if is anything written anywhere, but it certainly would be worth talking to their engineering department or whatever and see why they're not doing it. And if there is something written that says they don't have to, then we'll know.
Yeah.
I can
So
reach
what,
out. I said
Al,
I
did
could
you
reach
say-
out.
Oh, yeah. Never hurts to ask.
yeah. So another snow removal topic I'd like to bring up is our mailbox replacement policy. We have one on our website. Anthony did some research. He can't find anything going back if there was a resolution or an ordinance pertaining to this. We did have a resident with a more expensive mailbox come through this year. I believe the mailbox itself was $740 some dollars. Our current policy is capped at $100, or I'm sorry, $50. So just to have the conversation of where our policy is and that we actually don't have a policy, and I guess it's up to, Jack would recommend if it had to be a ordinance or a resolution for reimbursement.
What's the
And did you,
recommendation? I think you said the recommendation was to raise it to like 100.
Yeah, I think 100's fair. I'm looking at neighboring towns and kind of like just a quick search between what's kind of normal throughout the state.
That seems reasonable to me.
Yeah, I don't know.
Probably-
Is it in an ordinance, Jack?
Well, I don't think it is now, but I think it would make sense to put it in an ordinance so that we could find it in the future.
Where is it now? Do we know?
I don't know.
On the Public Works website with
Yeah.
just a form.
Oh,
I
so
can
it's
show it.
just kind
if
of
you-
a policy.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know the source of that though.
Yeah,
Okay, so
That
let's
works for
do
me.
something formal to memorialize it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you like me to do an ordinance? I can have it.
Yeah, let's do that and then we can change it on the website.
and
Okay.
Kevin, you said there's a form, right? The one Christine sent from
I think it
Mendham?
was Mendham. Yeah, Mendham has a standardized form, which we could do a standardized form. I actually like that, so it's kind of a little bit easier to track. So I don't know if that would have to be part of the ordinance or not, Jack, or if that's just something we could reference to based just a form for the
You
resident.
mean
to
the
fill out.
form of the application? No, you can do that administratively.
Okay. So that's something we'll do once we have the ordinance. We can reference the ordinance number off of it. The next item I have is New Jersey American Water. Working with American Water, their construction team's been fantastic to work with. We were able to come upon an agreement for a payment in lieu of paving. This is for most of the roads that they've worked in throughout the borough over this last project. The only outlier is Boylan between Mount Airy and Center Street because there's a 30-foot pit, and I want American Water to kind of own that pit for the next 5 or 10 years as it does settle out. That number that American Water's agreed to give us is $161,000. So that's money that we could put into a pavement management plan to either offset the project that we have going on there, do additional roadways, save it for next year, whatever the council decides. So there will be a resolution that we're going to have to pass. I'm waiting on the sample from them to accept the payment, and we'd be able to move forward from there.
And which areas would it cover?
This is for the West Boylan Prospect Center water extension.
Okay. Not the train station.
No, they're going to pave the train station lot
Okay.
because that's also another deep pit that I want them to
Yeah.
take responsibility of.
Good idea.
Kevin, would you happen to know what the cost of us doing it? So like, paving those areas would be?
So it's a what they're reimbursing is a half lane, based off square yardage. So I had experience with this in Bedminster. We were going to pave a roadway, and the American Water thought that they would be absolved of having to financially compensate the township because we were going to pave the road anyway. It wasn't necessarily the case this way, but I did remind them that we would like to be paid for it. And it covered about 55% of the cost of the road, and it was half the lane. So based off, it all depends what the Morris County Co-op pricing is. That's who we do most of our mill and pave projects through. I would say it's probably a little more than half because we get a little bit better of a price than what a private contractor will.
And normally they would have paved all of it themselves?
Yeah, but they also were aware of the project that we had on West and Boylan. So I don't know if they would have necessarily paved those projects up front because we were in communication with them throughout the process of their project because it was going to affect how we proceeded with ours.
Ah.
I think what you're saying, Kevin, is we would have not had that paved because of the West Boylan project. So we basically get this 161 that otherwise, we may not have, we would have received the benefit and just had to pave over anyways. So
Yeah, that's possible.
It's 161 sort of net to us, basically.
Yes, correct.
Okay,
Right.
sounds good.
So I've just one more thing that we spoke about the other evening, Public Works Committee was, and I know this has kind of been sometimes a hot topic, is the trash cans throughout the borough that we have subcontracted, picked up with IWS. I saw the letter last month saying, "Oh, your rate's going up," and I'll be honest, I never looked at what we were paying monthly for this until they said what our new rate was going to be. It's almost $18,000 a year. Just
Wow.
over $18,000 a year for garbage can removal. They're billing us for 50 cans. I'll be honest, I don't have an exact inventory. That's something that, we'll do ourselves. And I know I've seen some throughout the borough that are in very odd places I don't think we need to have, and maybe they'd be better, utilized elsewhere. So I did make a recommendation to the Public Works Committee is moving that to an in-house operation. Our employees are already out twice a week picking up recycling at all the parks because this contract does not include the recycling. So to us to put, black can liners, bags in all these cans and grab those as we're doing the recycling can, which is right next to it, shouldn't really add much time to their workday. They're there anyway.
And then where do they go with the bags?
So we have a dumpster for bulky waste at the Pill Hill facility.
Okay.
So we would just take them right up there. I think a truly conservative cost savings on this is probably $10,000 a year. I don't think it's that much weight in garbage. I think there's a volume. Not everybody recycles properly, so there's cans and bottles which don't have a lot of weight. But
Yeah.
And an audit of those cans would be awesome. So thank you for that recommendation.
Yeah.
Like you said, 50, it's hard to say.
Yeah, just
Exactly.
so we know where
Thank you.
they all are.
Yep. Yeah, so we'll inventory with locations, just so we know.
Sounds good.
That is all I have for tonight. Any questions or anything about what I spoke about this evening?
That was a lot. Thank you.
Kevin, thanks again.
We should have
Try
you
to do as
come
quick as
every
possible.
month. You save us hundreds of thousands of dollars every time you you report on something.
An extra 161,000 I just heard to the budget. right here.
Keep that trend going.
Yeah. All right.
Thank
you
you,
all. Have a great
Kevin.
night.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you so much, Kevin.
Much appreciated. All right.
How does that funding work that we just accounted for? Like I know some of it sounded like was savings, some of it was like money we wouldn't have spent. I'm just interested in how much, like, I don't know if it was 161. I think you calculated that number, Charlie, but I'm just interested to know, is that money that we're saving on the budget now, or?
It's
Sorry.
it's less than we spent in 2021. So we haven't had big snow years.
Right. Okay.
Right. So we just didn't spend it. But comparatively, he went back to the last time we had any significant snow. So it's not like we budgeted for that amount for this year and now we have that savings in the budget.
He's just saying the money by prioritizing supporting DPW, we actually would have outlaid more with external vendors, et cetera, because of the 2020
Using the 24 rates, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah. The 161 I was referencing was his comment from the American Water, not on the snow. piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other was,
So-
I think, like 80,000 or something.
Yeah, so that's, I think, Al, that's why he called it cost avoidance rather than savings. You know, it's a minute point, but it's true because we didn't save
Yeah.
it from last year. It's just we didn't have to put it out this year by not contracting out. And I'll ask him to add up. He made a similar presentation, I think, last year about the bringing the grass mowing in-house. So
Right.
I'll ask him to combine both of them.
Yeah. That was a savings too. I mean, it's
Yeah.
great that we have the manpower to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. 5B, the mobile MVC unit. Is that going to happen on April 2nd?
I don't think it is. I talked to them earlier or last week at some point, and they said that they did not. Actually, I think Fran's still on the call. They said they did not think there would be enough parking, and they were looking for a day where the library wasn't doing anything. And I mean, frankly, the library is always doing something. So I don't know. I said to Fran,
Yeah.
is there any day that would work? So, I guess we're waiting to see if there's a better day.
But we've had them there before, and
I know, and I told them that. I said, you were there before and everything worked out fine.
Mhm.
So I'm still waiting to hear back from him.
Our only program during the day then is one story time that she thought she could do in half the room. But we have our regular traffic, and sometimes Community in Crisis has big events. But I think they'd be able to have, for the pace of clientele they have, they've made it work before.
No, it
Yeah.
wasn't in the building. It was the parking lot, he said he was worried about.
that there wouldn't be
But that's when the
enough.
parking lot's full, is what I was trying to say. Sorry, I didn't mean to be unclear.
Oh, I thought you meant inside. Okay. Yeah, I that's what he said, that he didn't think there would be enough parking. So I wrote back to him and said, but you did it before with no problems. And so still waiting to hear back.
Yeah, it is a nice service
Yeah.
when they do come. They were pretty, I mean, I think they had all their appointments filled when they came. So,
And I mean, it's difficult to find a different location because, last year you guys had suggested, all right, then go to Bernardsville Center, and they wouldn't do that because they didn't have dedicated Wi-Fi or dedicated bathrooms. So I couldn't send them to like the Polo Grounds or
yeah, or the swimming pool parking lot or any of those. Yeah.
right.
All
So
right.
the library's it. So I'll let you know when I hear back. But
Okay.
it's not happening on the 2nd.
All right. So we can take that off. Raritan Headwaters, they do this every year. They sell the well testing kits. It's just a week, right? Like
Yeah.
5 days, Monday to Friday.
It's a week, and
Yeah.
then they come the week after to accept the
Pick them up.
to pick them up, and then they send them out and they test them. But yeah, it's just a week and then another day to pick up.
And they usually they seem to be busy. They wouldn't keep coming back if they didn't sell enough kits.
We get like approximately like 15 or so a year.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. We had a little agreement that was in the packet for the Historical Society of the Somerset Hills. Someone has donated a portrait of Frederick Olcott, who is one of our town founders. And it's probably as big as the other picture we have in the courtroom of the center with whoever it is, Woodrow Wilson, or with that big pole there.
Yeah.
So it's about, I think Anthony and I figured it's about the same size, and it would go on the opposite wall because there's nothing there right now. And what they were looking for a place where it would be seen. They didn't want to put it in the Brick Academy, because they're not open that often, but there's always people in Borough Hall and meetings so they'll probably do a little ceremony, a little PR thing when we get it hung. but we just had to sign this agreement that it's on loan to us indefinitely, and we have to take care of it, make sure it doesn't get damaged. So that's what that's for, just to approve that agreement. Nancy wants to, well, I think who else knows? Nancy and I met with Ross Traphagen, who is a councilman in Clinton. Probably, I think he's running for mayor next year. Anyway, we met with him about his communication business, and Nancy, you want to explain better than I am?
Yeah, I think you had something in your packet, an example of the kind of thing he would put together. I think a really good example came up the other day. The New Jersey American Water had changed their schedule for the work in the train station, and it was due to weather, and there were some other factors. And a resident went up and talked to them, and put it in the bubble. And the mayor said, "Is this accurate information?" And I said, "Yeah, as far as I know, it is." The last I heard from New Jersey American Water had been like the day before, when they said DOT would not let them work, and they still had about 2 weeks left, is what they said at the time. I have not had the time to continually update the website with little blurbs about their ongoing project. This would be the perfect kind of thing that I think a communications consultant would be great for, to keep people up. One of your goals this year was to improve communication with the public, and they could do it a lot more than we can. And they know how to make it succinct. They know how to, they really know how to hit the points. We had talked about trying to get an employee to do it, but this is what the company does. And we could do this for about $2,000 a year, which you're never getting an employee for that. I'm sorry.
A month.
A month. Sorry.
I was like,
Yeah.
You're still not getting an employee for that. But I mean, so I would love to try it for a year, or even maybe for the rest of the year, and see what you think. We talked about things like the mayor and I had seen a company you could subscribe to. Not that I'm suggesting we do, but I'm suggesting that this company does it, where they take like this meeting and they put little bullet points, like, I mean, not that you're voting today, but ordinance 1, 2, 3, 4 was passed. Here's what it does. And they give like a couple of layman terms, easy to understand. This is what it does. This is what the impact is. And so, like, if there's a possibility they could do that, because there's a lot of confusion. Not everybody watches the meetings, even if they do. A lot of these things are, hard to understand. So I think just from a maybe even put out like kind of a monthly e-news kind of thing, newsletter. I just think that there's a lot of opportunity there to increase communication and make things more visible and understandable for residents. So I'd love to give it a try.
And we talked with Ross about, getting things out ahead of time, before it becomes an issue. So when we know something's coming, that he could, get it blasted out before all the misinformation gets started. So I think that's a positive. And even just having a monthly summary of the key points of the council meeting, what got decided, what's coming, and kind of stay ahead instead of being reactionary, to be a little proactive in getting the issues to the public. So
Nancy, what do you anticipate that $2,000 equates to in terms of like an hourly rate?
I think did he give us an hourly rate? I have to go back to my notes.
I don't know. We were more talking, like, we didn't get it. I would ask him now for a formal proposal at this point, and have that all kind of written out for next week, maybe. Wouldn't that make sense? to accept, to have some kind
Yeah.
of a contract. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm
So-
gonna guess like typically $150 an hour, you know, I would think.
Seems about
So
right.
maybe, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was just trying to do the math, like $2,000 a month, like if it's 150, that's about, what is that, like 15, like 12, 15 hours a month. I don't know if we necessarily need that much time. My sense is that, I mean, I'm all for more communication. I think I put it on number one on my list of, goals for the year. But I really think there's probably like every year, there's probably 3 or 4 big issues, usually around development or something like the dam, or if it has to do with the sewer plant. So there's usually like half a dozen issues that seem to generate a lot of interest in the community. So I don't know if we need to do like an update on every little thing that we pass, like on a given meeting. I mean, you can always use AI for that and just do a bullet point summary of the things that we did. So I think it's good to get a proposal. I'm all in favor of getting some help. I still want to, sort of create this, make a huge job out of this.
Well, I think we were thinking too in terms more of information that normally we don't put out there, like things about your dog license. Like, I didn't know you had to pay $25 for a dumpster till I got fined for not getting a permit for a dumpster.
Mhm.
So, if we could take some of our ordinances that where there's the most common abuses maybe and
Hmm.
kind of say, did you know that, and get that
Yeah.
kind of information out, I think that would be really helpful.
there's a lot of to me there's a lot of things that, you know, something will come up and I'll say, hey Anthony, can you put this blurb on the website real quick? You know, and it doesn't get the attention that it really needs. And there's a lot of things, like it's not just about ordinances, it's about a New Jersey American Water project or, a paving project. And this is what happens when, we put in sidewalks in your neighborhood or, things
Yeah.
like that. Like I really think, like, to me, in the time I've worked here, that's probably the biggest frustration that I've had, is not being able to communicate to residents before they get upset about things.
Yeah.
And listen,
I
we're
agree.
already
And
a third or a quarter through the year, right? Like, it's probably 18K for the rest of the year if we did it. And Nancy, I remember you said you had cost offsets. I think you were not hiring something to be able to pay for it, someone. So
Replacement. Yeah.
Right.
yeah. So like I'm definitely in favor of it, and obviously see what it says. And like I think to Rich's point, we would just want to make sure we're getting our money's worth. So whether it's we can assess if we decide we don't have as much, a little bit into it and not do it the next year. But to your point, like if it's updating the website or getting old information out there and new information on there, or maybe even making recommendations to us, since we've been successful in putting out some FAQs, on key issues, there might be good things. But in all the surveys and among every council member, communication is our number one issue. And I think this takes a nice step in the right direction.
Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
also like to get their opinion on, so I think content obviously is important to have content and updated and have everything on important issues, but also sort of how we get that information out. So the website obviously is sort of the obvious answer, but unfortunately a lot of people just don't think to go to the website, or they go to the website and they can't find it. So I'd love to hear their ideas on like what is another way that we can get information out there, especially on critical. I mean, obviously the bubble, putting links in the bubble is pretty effective, but if they have any other suggestions on like an easy way to get certain key messages or information that we think is important for the community to know, what's the best way to get that out there?
Well, and he also was recommending I think one of the companies that we were interviewing for communications.
He did, but I
that he
I
works with.
went to right. I had a meeting the other day, so I will have another proposal for you coming up, and I think it's a lot more cost effective and does the same things. But so I think, Rich, in combination with what I hope to be the upgraded improved website and those little tools. There are ways to, geofence an area like Boylan Terrace, like that area, like those.
Yeah.
The police did it for the Smart 911 for me the other day, but there's ways to send a message out to those people. There's, like I'd mentioned, a monthly newsletter, right? So we send something out to everybody. Please sign up for the newsletter. There's things there's like boxes or choices you can make on the website that, or there will be hopefully, where you check the things you want. You want the agenda automatically sent to you every week. You can get that. You want planning board
text message. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's good.
So so I think that is the way. And I mean, people have to be a little proactive. They have to sign up for the newsletter, the text messages, or the emails. So, short of mailing things to people's house, which is just not financially feasible, I think that's what we have to do. And, just continually put things up on our Facebook page that hopefully, the bubble shares, because everybody reads that, and say that, where they say, hey, sign up here for, whatever it's called. So I think it's just a way of saturating people with different options and ways for them to get information that's comfortable for them.
Yeah, Nancy, I think you've done a good job on, with both the tech effort and this effort. So they're two different projects. Everyone's clear. One is a consultant, one is a technology platform. And I think, this would be the basically advice and content that goes through the platform that Nancy's helped interviewing one of several platforms for. So, and I think, given as Al said, this was the budget space for this was originally created because Nancy's assistant moved to a different role, and Nancy had done a great job of updating the FAQs. This makes sense to have someone else help with that. Obviously, a more economical rate than hiring someone full time for that.
Okay, so we will get something for a contract or a proposal for next week. And Nancy has got a proposal for, we talked about digitizing a certain percentage of the records that are stored everywhere.
Yeah.
So this actually, to me, goes with what we were just talking about. It's an overall just way to improve technology that we're using. And I think that a very timely example, I don't know if any of you have heard, on Super Bowl Sunday, Warren Township's municipal building had a 2-inch water pipe leak, and they've been out of their building since, and they're probably not getting back in for like a year. And they're renting space in a office building. But relevant to this is that they lost so many documents, and that could happen at any time. And ironically, the tornado threats today, the first time I brought this up was in July or whatever, the summer of 2023, when the tornado went right past our building. And I talked about, what if the roof came off, and the attic has millions of documents. So it is not only good to safeguard the documents from flood or fire or whatever, mold, any kind of water leak, but it's more efficient. And one of the ways, better communication, one of the ways to do that is to make Oprah requests easier. And this company offers a public facing option where people could access certain documents, right? Certain public documents without having to make Oprah requests. So even if we didn't go that route, it's easier for employees. Like Anthony could take him 5 minutes to do an Oprah request, where now it could take weeks because he's got to go up to the attic and search through files and whatever. So to me, this is a really key component to bringing all the technology together. And the proposal I had put in a request for $200,000 to start this process. And I got the second proposal and it is 113,000 for the 200 planning construction boxes, and it is about $86,000 for the planning and zoning documents. So that's all of the documents over in the library. All the other departments that they looked at all have their own costs, but just based on my really quick math on the number of boxes, the number of documents, and what they have proposed to us so far, I know Allied said it probably cost $1 million. I was a little high. I believe it would come in around 700 to do everything. So what I'd like to do is chip away at it, each year. And this year, that's why I put in the request for 200,000. There are almost 4 million pages that they would scan, but more importantly is the indexing. And before you commit to something, I would love to bring them in to do a presentation for you, because it is, the OCR, I think it is, it recognizes handwriting, right, when you search for a word. So, they've really integrated AI, and I think honestly, I think it's something we have to do. There's just documents everywhere. Aside from how much room it takes, how much space it takes, is to make it more efficient and to protect the documents. So I just want to let you know that I got the quote for half the documents, and if I get the 200, probably my first would be all the planning and zoning construction.
Question for you. Oh, sorry. No, you go ahead, Charles.
I was just going to say, we don't need to do anything on the agenda for this.
No.
Okay. No. Go ahead, Ross.
Really quickly, I just wanted to so let's say we do get, planning, zoning, construction, those documents digitized. When we process stuff now, would they come in with a process to digitize all the new documents from the last 3 months, for example, or is that another tranche of, I know a lot of it is, I guess, digitized anyway. I guess what I'm asking is, do we already have a system to actively digitize our current day-to-day
going forward, you mean, like from
or
today
just
on?
how about tomorrow? How about next week? How about the day after they're done digitizing the 200 other
Yeah,
documents?
what all the companies do is they will give you a quote for, they could come pick up documents monthly, quarterly, annually, whatever you want. And there's a charge for that, obviously, because it's very time consuming to index all that. So it would be an ongoing thing. There's also the possibility of, okay, we're all caught up now, employees, here's some scanners, scan them yourself as you go forward. So that's also, and I believe that planning and zoning is moving towards making everybody provide digital documents as well. So that would make it easier if they already came that way.
Interesting. No, I just think, if we do this, it would also be good to
Good point.
So I just wanted to, update you on that.
I appreciate you.
Great. Thank you.
Nancy, how many boxes do we have in total? Do you know?
Good question.
Anthony, did I count about 1,500? Was that what I said?
I think that's what you said. Yeah.
1,500 boxes. Okay.
Yeah.
And are these like standard legal size pieces of paper? Or are we including like large plans?
Big maps.
Yeah.
It's all of them. It's the 8.5 by 11. It's the legal size, and then there's the giant maps. The oversized. So they obviously charge differently, for those, but they estimated as much as they could, because they went into every space and looked at all the maps and all the planning board documents and blueprints and things like that.
And then I assume after we digitize everything, we still have to hold on to the originals, right? So like there's storage costs and all that.
No. So there are some documents, and Anthony could speak better to this. There's some documents that you have to keep forever, no matter what. But the good thing about this one of the good things that I like about this company is they work with it's not, it's DORS, DORES, right, Anthony? The
Yeah,
document.
Document
DORS.
records.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. It's the state agency that governs retention of documents. So this company has an agreement with the state, and they have, once they've shown that they have, I guess, like triple redundancy, the state gives them the ability to
Destroy them.
destroy the documents, and they give them a list and everything. Did we lose Jeff?
No, he's there.
No,
Got
he's
it.
there.
Okay.
Nope.
I don't see you anymore.
Off video.
So
I'm eating deep
yeah,
dish
so they
pizza.
can
No,
be
you're-
I'm in Chicago, right?
Chicago.
so they can be destroyed, and I mean, we have 2 vaults for the things that we have to, that we have to keep,
Right.
but they actually do the destruction as well.
Yeah, and usually they'll
1,500
mark
boxes, that's a lot. That's a
them
lot
too when you can destroy them. I think it's minutes that you can never get rid of, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
minutes.
There's a whole schedule.
Yeah, minutes, ordinances, resolutions. Those are the things you kind of have to keep.
Forever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nancy, this it seems like that this technology might get more efficient in future years. Like I know you estimate 200K, but there's a chance that it's less next year and less the year after that. In other words, like I just kind of thinking through the full project life, and it just seems like an area where it's becoming more efficiencies, not less deficiencies.
I mean, I don't know that the price is going to go down. I met with these kinds of companies in the last place I worked, and they were expensive now, they're expensive then, expensive now. I couldn't compare them because I don't remember the number of documents they had in the last town. But I don't know. I mean, you could also, I guess, argue the other way that as technology improves, it costs them more. So maybe the price doesn't go down. I don't know.
I mean, I would think, I kind of agree with Al. Like, to me, and I'm no expert on this, there's 2 types of costs, right? Like there's the capture costs of capturing the data in a digital file, and that's one cost, right? And then you have, like you said, the indexing and the where AI would obviously help, in the past 10 years, like that cost is definitely going to get cheaper, I think, in the future. Is there a way that they can break out in such a way that they're like, okay, here's the cost for capturing all your data. Here it is. It's on a drive. It's backed up. It's, all those costs, and then break out the other costs of, okay, this is how you search your data. Because I'm curious. It seems like an exorbitant amount of money to me. Just, and again, not an expert. It just sounds like so much money to capture and store this information digitally.
I mean, I don't know if they break it down like that. I would have to go back and look. I think, like I said earlier, I would love to bring them in to a meeting and they could give you a demonstration, because
Great.
I think you'll get a much better idea of, and I also invite all of you to come up and go to the 4th floor and look at the attic.
You do not want to go up there. I've been there. Don't go there.
I'm happy to go up there. I'll just echo, I do a decent amount with AI, and this is one of those areas that even over the last 6 months, the costs have shrunk dramatically because of image and language recognition, which are what large language models are, and AI is very good at. So, I think it'd be great to get the breakdown as Jess suggested, and then we can query them in greater detail. And, Nancy, I like your point maybe on the chipping away. So maybe if they came in, we could think about a smaller number to start, and then, then at least we're starting the work. But then if things get dramatically cheaper, a year from now, we haven't committed to the full, 700 or whatever. We can kind of pay as you go, so to speak.
Well, this would be year to year, right? Each year?
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking, 200 a year, but, and I don't know how that works. Jack, they're in a co-op, so I don't know if I guess that helps from a purchasing perspective, but
Yes, makes it easier.
yeah. So,
but we
I
can
would
only do a
think-
year at a time.
Yeah, you can only do a year. And I would think that what would happen is you wouldn't want to sign a contract like, okay, it's going to be $700,000 over the next 4 years. You would say, okay, this year we're doing $200,000. This is it, right? If we never go back to them, we never go back. But then next year you say, okay, now give me what it costs to scan the police department and the clerk's office. And now they're like, oh, instead of being 200, it's 150 maybe. So I think if you go year to year, if you believe it's going to get less expensive, then that's the way to do it.
Yeah, but let's schedule them for next month to
Okay.
come in and do a presentation. And then you can get those answers from them. Okay, moving on to the chef request, the Somerset Hills Education Foundation. It is their 30th anniversary, and they want to use I guess it's the Lower Polo for anybody that went to the food truck event that Recreation had. It's going to be kind of where that was last year, and they want to have all kinds of fun things. I know they checked with Recreation for the availability, so they do have the date locked in, but they do need permission. I think they also wanted to do a beer garden, so they're going to need to do those permits too, right?
Yep.
Yeah, they need a social affairs permit. They want to do a 50/50, I think, or some kind of raffle. They'll need a raffle license, but for permission for the field, I guess is what's on the agenda here.
Well,
But there is other things, yeah, that they want to do.
So that's the first step, right? Is for next week we would approve them using the field.
Right.
Everybody good with that? Should be a nice event.
Yep.
And then Recreation doesn't have to have one because they'll do one for us. That's great. Main Street is asking what they were trying to do because it's gotten very expensive now. I think originally you had approved closing that section of 202 for the street fair based on DOT's approval. And evidently DOT has changed a lot of the regulations, making it much more expensive in marking out detours. Like you have to have, you need like 10 detour signs that like it's 287 and miles away. And so they felt like it's just getting too expensive, and maybe they're going to move it into the train station and just use the whole train station as a fair rather than trying to close the highway. So they're still trying to work that out with the fair organizer, but they wanted council to give them permission that if they end up moving it off of the highway, could they use the train station? And it's a Sunday, so there's nothing else going on there in the parking lot in June or September. When is it?
Where do they propose presumably a lot of people are going to come to this. We want the whole town to come to this. So where would people park?
The library.
Yeah, no, but I mean,
No, you've got
it's
and the post
gonna,
office.
Yeah, you're sort of the intention is to bring a lot of people to an event, and you're eliminating the largest parking lot in town. So there's gonna be an issue. Like I think we need to come up with some sort of excess parking scenario, like whether it's temporarily allowing people to park, on side streets where they normally can't park or something.
Yeah, they can do that. But there's I want to say the Joe Rossi lot. There's the lot up Claremont that on a Sunday nobody's in. There's the one behind, up the side street that runs behind. It actually belongs to Wells Fargo.
I mean, there's lots of options. They just need to think it through and like come up with and probably sort of like put that out there with whatever the brochure or whatever flyers they send out, just like let people know where,
Parking
sort of
is.
Give suggestions on where to park.
Yeah.
Maybe the advanced guys will let us use the Palmer lot if they haven't started construction. So
yeah, and they have been allowing that for, especially now with American Water in the parking lot. They have unofficially given permission for the store owners to use that lot. They just didn't want it advertised.
Yeah. Yep. Makes sense.
And also that weekend, it's interesting. This was supposed, I think they're talking June 13th. That's the Sunday. Bernards Township is doing a giant, actually that whole weekend, they are having, I never can get this. Is it FC Berna? Is the soccer group?
Yeah.
They are bringing like 100 teams for a big championship thing, which is the same as the FIFA weekend games start. So Bernards Township is doing a big street fair on the Saturday with a watch party and all kinds of things. And I mean, there's going to be a lot of people all around this area on that weekend. Just a heads up that that's going to all happen. Because actually two of the teams, one team is staying, I think Venezuela is staying at what was, across from Verizon, that hotel that was there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's where
The
Venezuela
Ridge.
will
The
be.
Ridge. I think it is now.
Yeah, I don't know what they call it now,
I
but
think
yeah.
it's owned by Verizon, I think. No.
Yeah, it is.
Used to be.
And then another team is
Dolce.
staying at the Somerset Hills Hotel on the far end of Bernards Township, almost in Warren. So we're going to have a lot going on in this area when all that kicks off.
And the watch parties in Bernards, you said, Mayor? So,
Bernards Township on the Saturday is doing a big thing. And FC Berna is looking for fields for these playoffs. And I don't know if they've reached out to Recreation or not to use our fields.
Not that I know of.
And I think they wanted to see if they can get the high school turf field too. But don't they use our turf field regularly?
They do, they rent it.
Yeah, thought so.
They're our only
Okay.
paying customer.
But it should be a good weekend for our businesses with all the people in town. So that's good. Tie the Town Pink. I do this every year. It's just for October for Breast Cancer Month. We put pink ribbons around town. So, general business. We've got presentations for Sergeant looking back. We've put him off 2 months now, right?
Yeah.
Another meeting
Okay.
tonight that I go virtual. Like it's just not.
I know. It's like every Monday we get these storms.
We should change
Jeez.
the days of our week of our meeting.
I know. And then we were asked to do a proclamation for Parkinson's disease, which I have no problem doing those. Ordinances. We're going to have a public hearing. And this is for when we recertify our affordable units. They have to be inspected, and we don't think it's right that they should pay for the inspection. So they will be exempt from the inspection fees. We have Jack's report. Do we have any other reports? Do we have any? Did I miss resolutions here?
Yes.
Yeah.
I did. Okay. What is Defense Logistics Agency?
This is the federal government surplus where we got the Humvees and other things. I know the chief doesn't really want to get anything because he's actually getting rid of some of the things that we got, but I think it's a just in case kind of thing. I think
something comes up.
Yeah, every town does it every year, I think.
Yeah. And Jeff Horowitz, Dan Lincoln asked if we would appoint him to the Historic Preservation Committee. And I think they're still short a few members anyway, so they could use the help. The contract for the police vehicle, are we getting insurance on this for the accident?
Yes. We're hoping to get about $60,000 from the insurance company, I think. Isn't that what it was?
Good.
60, Anthony?
Yeah, it was about that. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. What are we changing on the scope of West Street and Boylan?
This is we had talked a long time ago about which side you wanted the sidewalk to go on. And
Right.
you had all said it would be on the south side, which is where the houses are. The plans, when Boswell put them together, they had the sidewalk on the north side, at the train track side, and the current engineer, and I know you didn't want them there, and the current engineer said that there's way too big of a drop there anyway. Plus people park on that side. So they just want DOT to let them change the scope to move it back. I mean, the sidewalk's already there on the house side. It's just falling apart. We have to redo it. That was what we're supposed to do, is redo that to connect it to, then you cross Center and go down Prospect. There's already a crosswalk across Boylan at Mount Airy.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just to take it out of the north, take the sidewalk off the north side and let
Put
them
it
know
on the south.
we're fully redoing the south.
Okay. Let's see. We've got a tax refund, escrow, the body cameras, and I think you were telling me this is the new body cameras actually have the license plate readers in them.
And they
Which
connect
is-
directly into our current license plate reader system. So
Yeah, is that how cool is
creates
that?
more of a coverage for the borough.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yep.
On the Weston Boylan, I'm not sure. Have we done the recent, and maybe Ross, you're going to say something on this, but have we like canvassed the street recently and see what folks there? I mean, I'm new to the project, but just in terms of what folks there are seeking.
For
in
sidewalks?
in terms of
We've-
placement.
We've
of-
already awarded the bid on this.
Right, but in terms of the location, it sounds like there's some discretion we have at this point, or unless I'm mistaken.
No,
Yeah,
I don't know. There is no discretion. There's no way we could put it on the north side because of the steep drop.
Okay, that was my question.
And
I
the
was gonna
south
say,
side
and
already
you guys
has,
had talked some like west and everything before. Sorry, I know I missed the first 15 there.
and the south already has a sidewalk. We're just improving it. We did send out a notification that, as I mentioned earlier, the police did a smart 911 to let people know that, in the next couple of weeks that they targeted that neighborhood, that a project was happening. But that is the exact kind of thing that I think we can use this communications director for, because not everybody signed up for Smart 911 to get those notifications. And while, yes, the contractor does hand deliver letters to every house, and our engineer is going to write letters to, I think it's 5 residents who are going to lose some of their landscaping in the front. You can never do enough communication, especially with a big project like this. People are going to have sidewalks who never had sidewalks before. Like, I want to give them as much of a heads up as possible. Like, we've been talking about it. You've been talking about it since before I started working here. But there's people who are going to say they never heard of it, and it impacts them directly. And so that's the kind of thing that I would love to use this person for.
And to what extent, if we like are removing landscaping or fencing, do we put anything back? Are we responsible for any of that?
We're not responsible because it's in our right of way. And like every homeowner knows, if you put something in the right of way, you do it at your own risk. So, I want to take a look at them. I don't think that there's anything, it's not like on Bernards Avenue where people had retaining walls and things like that.
Yeah.
That was kind of a mess. So, we can talk about it. I'll show you pictures of the 5 houses. I haven't looked at the pictures yet. Well, I don't have them yet. The engineer's supposed to send them to me, and we could talk about it. But like, for example, Mr. Richardson, we talked about it at the last meeting. He has a dog fence underneath, the grass and sprinklers. and we're not going to replace those. Like they're in the right of way. So what we're going to do is give people the opportunity to have things moved before we go in there, right? So if you have rose bushes or whatever, you can have like your landscaper move them. You could have so that they're not dug up.
Yeah, in the process. Yeah, and just get ruined. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, the more we communicate, the better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we got the body cameras. Garrett Buchanan, unfortunately, has resigned, so we'll be looking for a new recreation assistant.
I already
We have you got the applications, or did you hire one
I
yet?
got like 15 applications so far.
Wow, that's good. Okay.
And for I don't know if he's not an employee anymore, so I can. The commute, he drove like an hour and a half each way to work, and he had intended to move up here, but that just didn't work out. So I think that was part of the reason.
Yeah. The recreation camp vendor fees, I think you said there was a 3% increase.
Yeah.
Okay. Emergency temporary appropriations we have to do till the budget's passed.
Yeah.
And then we have introduction of the budget. Al, you want to?
Yeah. I'll kick it off, and the Nancy, the mayor, and Charlie to add in. So next week you'll see the introduction of the budget, which has to be introduced next week and then passed by the end of April. First of all, I want to really thank Nancy and Leslie for all their work. They do a yeoman's job of going through every single dollar that's in the budget and really being thoughtful about it. Then having to deal with the finance committee's ideas and trying to accommodate it. And what I like in particular is that they try to anticipate our needs and what's important to us and genuinely listen to the goals that we set as council and try to build a budget accordingly. And from that, we've had a really strong budget over the last few years. In fact, every year that I know I've been involved, we've either been flat or even decreased a few times in our overall tax rate, and it's due to the hard work that they put in all of it. And I want to thank Mary Jane and Charlie as well, my other colleagues on the finance committee, for their work on it. So I talked about this last time, but there were a lot of challenges this year. 23% increase in health benefits, $216,000 increase in just that. Additional suite sleeping requirements by the state that we couldn't avoid, $45K. Full repairs, painting, tiling, supplies, etc. Increase in liability, insurance, and workers' comp through our JIF. Contractual salary increases, almost $400,000 in that. Reduction in interest revenue and reduction in pool revenue, which we've had a lot of details of that. In spite of that, where the budget sits right now, and there's a couple points that we not only want to take you through, but maybe even and I will try to have a discussion here at council about, is right now the municipal tax rate would reduce year to year from 0.469 to 0.467. So we'd have a reduction, and as it sits right now. Even with that, we have a 6.12% increase in the total amount to be raised by taxation, mostly due to the increased valuation in the borough, which I think we're all aware of, which I would like to say is due to the guidance and the investment that we've been putting in as a municipal body as well, that have led to this being a more desirable community vis-a-vis other competitive communities that people want to move here, increasing values.
Jeff is in the waiting room. I'm sorry.
He's here.
And that just in comparison, in 2024, we had a 5.66% increase, in 2025, an 8.78% increase. The overall increase in the budget was 1.73. Last year was 16%, but that was due to the one-time selling of the Audi dealership, I believe, which really increased the amount there. Additional $230,000 to pay for cash and capital items, which we'll come back to in a second. Flat use of fund balance, and $1 million appropriated from open space trust to begin payback of the master plan improvements. One thing that I think was particularly difficult this year is we tried to balance the requests that came from all segments of the community, and including areas of the borough, but not everybody got everything they wanted, right? And we tried to be diligent, listen to the request, fund areas we could as best as possible, particularly among the priorities, but not everything could get funded. In fact, I don't think anybody got all the funding that they asked for. So something that we balanced, and something that, if there's members of council that have questions about that and want to know details, I think all three of us would be happy to talk about it. The one last thing I'd say is, and probably want to have a little bit of discussion on this point, when we got the additional valuation, it resulted in about $230,000, which right now sits in the capital budget. We debated as a finance committee, because we could have taken the tax rate all the way down to 4.6 with that, right? So it could have gone from 4.69 down to, 4.69 down to 0.46. Right now it's 0.467. We could have gone down to 0.46 with that. That would have resulted in about $80 in savings per household, probably just a little bit more than that, but about $80 in savings per household. And so I think, we were kind of went back and forth with that as a finance committee, and wanted to kind of get some opinions from council here. The advantage of that is obviously giving it back to taxpayers, and if we have a little bit of additional incremental, being able to provide it back. The advantage of going into capital is, I think we know that as a borough, we have a lot that we've had to fund between ambulance, we just talked about police car, additional debt requirements on the borough, and that allows us a little more flexibility to pay things with cash rather than debt. So let me pause there. Before, I know we'll probably want to talk about that last point, but Nancy, let me just go to you. Anything you want to talk about in the overall budget process, or anything that I maybe missed, or contextualization that you want to add?
No, I mean, I think you summed it up pretty well. I just want to say on behalf of Leslie and me, for the matter of the additional capital, I think the best way that I can that I could try to explain our viewpoint is, if you compare it to your budget at home, right, and you have the ability to save money because you don't know what's going to happen next year or the year after, you don't want your savings account to go to zero. And that's what we've been trying to work on, is making sure that our capital does not go down to zero, because we don't know what's going to happen, right? We don't know next year, a big piece of equipment breaks or whatever. And so to have that extra money set aside is always helpful. And so, I know that I had a conversation with one of you who said, well, if we don't know what we're going to do with it, then, why should we save it? I mean, that's why we're saving it, is because we don't know where we might need it. But we do have, like we talked about earlier, like the scanning. There's always a need. All of the things that people ask for. And I have to say that the employees in this town do not ask for things frivolously. I've worked in towns where they will just ask for the moon, and you just hope you get something. They hope they get as much as possible. They only ask here for what they need. So, there's always a need for extra capital. And what we're trying to do, like you mentioned, is avoid interest in the future by having to borrow. Because at some point, what I was trying to hit home is that we've been lucky. Our assessments have been really high, but it was only as recent as 2020 when we had a big drop in our assessments, and they've been leading up for 5 years to that. And nobody knows when that's going to happen again. So we're trying to prepare for that, so that when we don't have as much money coming in, so it's like if you got a bonus one year at work, you're like, let me put that away because I don't know if I'm going to get a bonus next year. So it's kind of the same thing. So that is why we are advocating to put that extra $230,000 in capital. I don't know if that's what you wanted me to talk about, but
Yeah, it's great. Perfect. Okay. Anything?
Mayor, did you want to go? That I can add?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, so no, this is I really want to thank Nancy and Leslie and Al and the mayor for welcoming me into the finance committee. A lot of fun first couple months to dig into all this stuff, and I've learned a lot. When I think about finance, and I think both Al and Nancy brought up important points. I think finance is never about one thing. It's never about, in this case, minimizing the tax rate or maximizing capital or, minimizing debt. It's a balance of all of them. You push on one thing too far and something's going to pop out of alignment on the other side. So, the fact that, when we originally kind of started with the budget, we had a lower assumption for assessments, and the assessments came in higher, and we ended up with this extra 230,000 that Al mentioned. The question is, okay, what do we do with that? Do we use that to invest to save in capital? Do we use that to pay down debt, or do we return that to the taxpayer? When I think about capital, I really want to commend the council, and Nancy and Leslie, because many years ago it was pretty small. The capital fund was really small. It was basically negligible like 5 years ago. 2 years ago is roughly 800,000, and I believe the latest version of the budget has it about 1.5 million. So I think we've done a really good job of investing in capital, which is important because we need to invest in things that will ultimately, as Nancy said, there are things that come up and there's things we need to care for now that, as Kevin was going through earlier, right? Some of those were capital requests that ultimately reduced operating expense. So I think we've done a very good job. We've put a lot of emphasis on capital in the last few years. On debt, which is the second of my kind of uses of cash area, again, I think Leslie's done a great job there. There's obviously some stuff that we recently had a couple meetings where we're passing additional bonds, but she has a long-term debt plan that goes out into the 2030s that I think if we follow and we're diligent, and us and our successors follow, we can get to a much better debt position in the mid-2030s. So I think we have a plan against that. So that leaves the burden on the taxpayers. As Al mentioned, the burden increased by about 8-9% last year. Our municipal taxes have actually increased as share of your overall taxes over the last 5 years. They've gone from something like 22 to 25% of your total taxes. And some of that's funding capital, so it makes sense. Other towns have taken the opportunity with higher assessments to lower their rates. We've kept it flat due to the need to fund capital. And the school district has also decreased their rate. So I think in weighing all these things, we have to think about how much burden are we putting on the budget, how much burden are we putting on debt, and how much burden are we putting on the taxpayer. It's like a three-legged stool. And recently, given the increase in the last couple of years, to me, there's a lot of logic in increasing capital, which I think the current budget, even at a 4.6 rate, would do by at least 50 or 60 or 70K over 2025. But also giving capital back, giving funds back to the taxpayer. Because the way I think about it is this: I think Nancy's point on the savings is a good one. I guess my point is we've put a lot into savings, so we can always put more, and I think we should continue to put more. But the way I think about it, what we're trying to do is with property values and assessments in towns, we're trying to increase the size of the pie. And the less we burden those properties with additional taxes, the more folks can invest in their properties, increase the value of their properties, the more attractive those properties are to potential new residents coming to town, which increases the value. So overall, we increase the value of the pie, we increase the size of the pie, the less we tax it. And that's the way I think about it in general. And why I would argue for a rate maybe closer to the 4.6, which still funds sort of the 50,000-70,000 increase in capital. If we had a hard number of something we wanted to fund for sure next year, then I'd say, sure, let's increase the capital by that amount. But it sounds like we do also have some flex in here. Kevin came up with something earlier potentially. If we don't do the full 200K on doc scanning, there's some flex there. So I think we have enough flexibility while we're already increasing the budget. And I think our taxpayers, given the increase this year, we should try to give as much as we can back to them while being financially responsible over the long run.
If I could just reiterate, it's $83 a household
for the year. For the year.
No, look, I agree. It's $83. It's not huge, but there are folks on, fixed incomes and stuff and people in town. And there's people that in town to whom $83 is not much. There's other people who it matters more to. And I just want to, and every little penny counts.
It does. I'm not saying that it doesn't, but I mean, I think it does for us too. And, we're trying to be responsible, right? Because when the bottom does fall out and we don't have money to do anything, people are still going to want their leaves picked up. They're still going to, their houses may be assessed less, but they're still going to want their leaves picked up. They're still going to want their roads plowed and, municipal, ball fields cut and police cars to show up and fire trucks to show up and to have hoses and ambulances. And we still need to provide those things. So Leslie and I are trying to prepare for the future and trying to make the most of the highs when we have them. And
Wouldn't you use that extra money then to pay down debt then? Because your argument is, let's put money aside to save because we may need it in the future. And if we don't have it in the future, we're going to have to borrow money for it. So rather than just having cash sitting in a cash account and not knowing what to do with it and sort of saving it for a rainy day, why not just pay down the debt now?
Well, there's a long-term debt plan. I mean, Al, you could speak to that way better than I can.
Yeah, you can't really pay more.
There's a challenge, and I believe some of that debt, and Leslie could answer this better. I believe some of that debt is callable, as in you can't prepay. There are prepayment penalties.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. If I can just say, having done school budgets for over 15 years, and seeing this process, it's always finding the balance. The temptation is to say, well, let's give it back to them this year. And then you have to look at keeping it level, because at some point, if you reduce it now, you're going to have to increase it later. And then the shock sets in. And it's not, don't think of it as a savings account. It is a capital fund. And a capital fund pays for roads. It pays for a new plow. It pays for a pickup truck. It pays for a new fire engine. And, just meeting with the fire company, we know how extensive their needs are and what they're asking us to support, and we want to support it. And also, if you pay cash, you don't pay the down payment. You don't have to pay the interest. The down payment comes out of the operating budget, doesn't it?
I don't like the idea of having this like open-ended, like it's just sitting like if you want to say like we're going to take this 200,000 and put it toward sort of down payment on a future fire truck or something, like identifying what that need is, I'm okay with that. If it's something that the town needs and I can sort of look at it and go, yeah, this is something that we need.
Reinvest.
If it's not, I can't get behind it.
But you don't know that the next storm, one of those trucks is going to completely fail. And then what do you do?
But we do have fire trucks on our long-term debt plan. We do have, for this year, we have a down payment on a truck that cost $1.5 million.
Yeah.
We have an ambulance coming up in that plan in 2 years. I mean, the point is, I don't think the point is about spending it right now. It's about having it there so that, like, I couldn't tell you right now what truck is going to break next year or what new requirement the DP is going to come up with that Kevin has to then buy some, $300,000 truck for. It's a matter of having it there. It's a responsible way to budget.
Yeah, I don't know.
Don't we have the fire truck in plan? I mean, that's part of the long-term debt plan.
That's the one plan. That's the one truck. They have others.
Yeah. There's more coming up.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's all part of the multi-decade plan. If you look at, Leslie's great work. Like, so theoretically, that's budgeted for, is my point.
Rich said, if you can tell me it can go for a fire truck, then okay, I'm for it. If not, no. I mean, it can go towards police vehicles. It's going to go towards, we just bought new radios for the fire department. We just bought new radios for the police department. We just bought new body worn cameras. I mean, these things all cost so much money, and we don't know what the AG is going to come down with next, the new requirement that the police have to get this or that. We're paving roads. Since I have been on council, council people all come up with great ideas for things that they want to do. And they are, like, most of them are great ideas. They all cost money and it has to come from someplace. So when I look at returning $83 for the year to the average taxpayer who isn't going to notice $83, especially when county and school budgets go up.
25%.
Right. To me, like, to do it at the detriment and to be like penalized for having having built up the capital over the years to be penalized by saying, well, you saved enough, you don't need any more, to me doesn't seem rational.
What is sort of the best practice in terms of as a percentage of a municipal budget to basically put in reserve for capital? Is there like some best practice or standard out there?
Well, it definitely, yes, and I will ask Leslie what that is, what the exact amount is, but our bond rating. So one of the things I was going to save for next week, but we got an amazing rate when we had our band sale the other day, and the people on the call said that we had people bid on it who they never saw bid on a government band before, and they said a lot of it had to do with our excellent rating and our excellent bond rating. Part of the things that those raters look at is how much money you have saved. I know what you said, Mayor, but part of the thing, and I don't know what the exact amount is, I'm asking Leslie right now, but it definitely comes into consideration when they look at your overall fiscal health. It definitely is something they look at.
Yeah, I guess
okay,
my
Leslie,
point.
I know you're listening. I don't know if you can answer Rich's question or not.
She's not on there.
No, she's
on the phone.
watching. She's texting
Oh.
you. So yeah, she brings up a good point. We cut how much did we cut out of people's capital requests this year? Right, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
That's true. We did look at that.
Yeah, I mean, if you want us to spend the money, we'll spend it, but that kind of defeats the purpose of what we're trying to do.
It just seems a little bit arbitrary right now in terms of the number. Like, why is it what is it, 200 and something thousand? Like, why isn't it 20,000? Why isn't it 2 million? Like, I don't understand where we came up with this number of like 200 and something thousand.
Because that's how much valuation higher than what we planned for. You know what I mean?
So there's original budget, Rich.
Yeah.
That called for it where we would have come in at the 467 rate, which would have fully funded a capital budget of 1.5 million. The assessments came in higher, which gives you an extra 230,000. So the debate is, do you put that towards capital or?
Sorry, guys, that quite honestly is meaningless to me. Like the rate, nobody cares about the rate. Like I keep saying that. People care about the dollar amount that their taxes are going up or down. And I think someone said it was about 5 or 6% based on this budget. It was 8% last year. That's what people care about.
I totally agree with you, Rich.
So again, like if the best practice is, and we're going to get better bond ratings, and we're going to save money, and it's the fiscally responsible thing to do, and that number's it's like, I don't know, whatever that percentage is 400,000. I would support $400,000. I just want to understand, like, that just seems like, well, the assessments went up a little bit, so now we have like 200 and something more than we thought we would have if we keep the rate the same. That to me is arbitrary.
I believe we have the highest bond rating similar to our neighboring towns that we can get.
What, Nancy?
Yeah.
She says we're supposed to have a reserve of 1 to 3% of our budget.
Which is
how much?
She's
190,000, I think, off the top of my head.
She says we'll have about 80,000.
It would be 540.
Well, that's at 3%, I think, Al, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we get 3%.
I think the question is, do we fully
1%? I'm sorry, 1% of our budget is $200,000.
Yeah.
Right. So if you triple that, I said 5.
Math we were doing. I mean, I believe at 1.5 million, or at whatever, 4.46, we'd be adding 70,000.
So, like, I don't want to get too theoretical, but while I agree with you, Rich, that the average taxpayer does not know what their tax rate is. They only know how much the sheer dollar that they pay. It's what we can control, right? And like similarly, like when you pay your federal or state taxes, you may you may know what you pay like at a high level, but where you really like if your salary goes up, you're going to pay more taxes. If your salary goes down, you're going to pay less taxes, right? Fact of the matter is, this is based on property values. Your property values go up. Hopefully, you recur that benefit when you sell your house, and the property values continue going up as the growth of the town happens. But like, there's three rates, maybe more if you include open space and library. But like for most part, your municipal rate, your county rate, and your school rate, right? The school rate being the largest percentage. So like in my what I've been trying to accomplish in the years that I've been finance chair is, flat or lower overall rate, but with the hope that over time, what you're growing is you're growing the percentage of income as far as from taxpayers is getting less and less. Right now, it's about 93% based on resident households, right? And to me, like that number needs to get into the 80s. And we're on a track to get there based on pilots that'll come in and additional commercial development. And like, it would be great in my mind, like getting that rateable lower and lower. And right now we're below where it was in 2020, which I think is a really positive thing. Like we're lower from a tax rate percentage now than we were in 2020. Getting that to a lower portion will be most likely achieved as like a percentage of our overall budget when we get the money funding's coming in for pilot and more commercial development. I think we should have a goal of having it sometime in the 80s. So like I do take Nancy's point, that like you don't want to just press really hard on the tax rate because maybe to your point, Rich, like people may not even necessarily notice it. And then all of a sudden we have a down year or recession and we have to really boost it right back. We want to be, I think, diligent, almost like you're controlling like the federal interest rate, if you will, on not moving too quickly one way or the other. At the same time, there are things like I sort of in two minds of it, but I'll sort of give you one idea. Like, I think we've been trying to accomplish giving funds back to taxpayers as much as we could when we got these, increase in valuation. At the same time, I think all of us want to see our debt lowered. If we could pay more things with capital and less things with debt, that's a good thing overall. And to the point that Nancy made, the total request came in at well over $2 million, I believe, maybe even something closer to like 2.4, 2.5. And in the budget right now is 1.5, right? So you could see how much we decided to not fund things that departments and others were requesting to be able to to be able to try to have a reasonable budget. I mean, in the spirit of making everybody unhappy, what I had proposed is maybe splitting it, right? Like you come down to like 0.465 or something like that. That still matches the largest straight decrease in probably borough history that we have. We'll look at the records. And then you can put the rest of the capital so we could fund some additional, probably at the 140, 150 range to be able to, or 130 to fund the rest, to accomplish some of what we wanted to do is pay stuff with cash and not so much with debt. So that's sort of what I throw out on the table.
I think that, I don't disagree with you on any of that. I think that's a good way to think about it. I agree with you. I just, on this one issue about like, do we need this much sort of, and I'll call it excess reserve I don't know what you technically call it, is like reserve capital for unexpected, unanticipated expenses during the year. My only point is what's sort of the standard? Like what should you have? Like what's a good practice to have that? And if it's 200, great, it's 200. If it's more than that, I would probably support going more than that and raising the tax rate. So like that was my only point. It was just like I don't know if like this number, it just sort of like seemed like that was what was left over.
Well, and the other thing is though, this doesn't go away. Like you don't have to spend it in this year. Maybe nothing will come up this year.
And that's fine. If we don't, maybe next year you don't have to do that as much. I just like,
and if you look at like I didn't finish. Like Bernards Township has no debt. That's one of the things they're proud of because they have capital that they pay cash and they have no debt compared to us who have a lot of debt. So I think the goal is that at some point, I would love to have no debt. And the only way you can do that is by building up capital. So you start paying cash every time you pave a road, every time you buy a piece of equipment. That's to me is the goal.
I agree. It's just my only question is how much is that per year?
And that's kind of my point is, Mayor, I agree. I think Leslie has a great plan to get us to no debt. My point is there's an upper limit on how much we can charge people. And to Rich's point, it's not even the rate, it's the percentage increase per year. We don't have inflation that we had 2 years ago when it was more normal to expect, 6-8% kind of raises in the taxes. There's an upper limit at which you can keep the tax at a certain level while, as Al was basically pointing out, reduce the burden on the taxpayer or keep it within sort of acceptable levels while paying as much as you can into capital to fund that debt reduction machine longer term. Because I think, Nancy, you said even at 80,000, was that with what rate was that Leslie said? We have 80,000 in the reserve. Is that the 4.6 rate? Do you know? Or is it 4?
I'm asking her now. She said 1 to 3%, 200,000 minimum.
Right. But at which rate would we have 80,000 is my question. 'Cause you said 80,000 was in reserve before.
I believe that's what she said. Yeah. Also, if I could just, I just want to explain something, like the way this all got started. So Leslie and I have to start the budget process, a few months from now, right after we pass, right? We started, maybe not that extreme, right? We started in the fall and we have to start someplace, right? And so what we do depends on, what the assessments end up, what the total valuation is. So we ask the assessor, hey, what's it looking like this year? And he does not know until February, beginning of March. So we start with a guess and we get a best guess from him. And we started with 5 because he is very wary. He doesn't want to say too high. And then we put a budget together and, now you got to cut out 400,000 in your budget. So he started at 5. It came in higher. It's not some magic, money that we just found. It's just that when he was all said and done, we were working on a guess. We have to, otherwise we'd never get the budget done. We can't start the budget at the end of February. So we're working on his guess, his best guesstimate. And then we had a higher assessment than he had estimated. And that's where this money, this $230,000 comes from. So I just want to explain that. This isn't some, that's bait and switch. It's not money we found. It's not arbitrary. That's how the money got there.
Right, but that's good explanation. But my point still remains, like, for every item on the budget, there's sort of a justification for each one of those things. You would say, okay, well, we need this line item because health insurance costs have gone up 16%. We need this much money because we know we have to pay for a fire truck in the future. And you go down that list, and like every single one of those has like sort of a justification as to why the town should spend the money. My only point is, like, for this amount of money, what's the justification? And it sounds like Leslie has said it's like 1 to 3% is sort of best practice to have a capital reserve. And I'm all for that. And I just want to know, is that 200 and something thousand, is that too low or is it too high or is it just right?
I'm asking her.
And my point in asking Nancy was just,
It's the minimum based on what you give us.
So if it's the minimum of what's considered best practice, I would support that.
Sorry, Charlie.
I would even probably support higher.
Yeah, my point in asking what the 80,000 reserve ties to is because I think based on the helpful, Leslie and Nancy did some helpful work earlier, and I think it's basically every every move from 0.463 to 0.462 gets you another 30,000, right? So my point is we could probably get to that 200,000 at some number, some rate level in the low 4.6s, and then it's a debate of how much cushion you want, basically. Like if the number is actually like, if we get 80,000 at 4.59 rate, 4.63 adds another 110 in capital. So you're basically you're at that 191% rate. It's all a balance, right? There's no like, this is the best answer. This is the best number. My only point is I think we've done a great job on capital, and I wouldn't say we shouldn't be penalized. We should be rewarded. It's kind of like we've done this great thing. we also need to pay attention to the other side of the equation at the same time, and not full attention by any means. Let's not. If we say take the rate to 4 and cut a bunch of services, that'd be insane. So.
And I think Rich
Christine,
asked a
I
great
think
question.
we've heard from you two guys. Can I hear from the other members?
I was going to say, I think Rich makes a great point. We do want to see, what the kind of recommended fiduciary, kind of responsibility is there for the town. But I think, with Charlie's point about, maybe trying to gradually bring this rate down a little bit, and paying close attention to that, and what you were saying about which numbers get us what would a 0.65 get us to try to, again, place it in the middle somewhere. I do agree with, I think was, Charlie said, we had inflationary years. There was, kind of expectations, involved with the increase. And, if we can, I think it's just simple for me, Rich said, if we can bring it down a little bit more and stay within that recommendation by Leslie, I think that's the right thing to do. If that brings us closer to the 4, 6, 7, I think we're also, again, bring it down a little bit,
Well, we
making
are
a plan to
6, 7. It's going from 4,
Yeah,
6,
we went
7
down
to
from
4,
4,
6,
6, 9.
4, 6, 9 to 4. Absolutely. And that's great. And so obviously a step in the right direction. I think your heads really, are all together on this. And so, yeah, no, I would just be curious to see what we said, the other rates, like what a 0.65, 465 would get us as far as capital. And if that's inside the recommendation there.
Christine, you got something in? Where'd Jeff go? We lost Jeff.
I just have one of the questions I get a lot from residents is the assessment and how that works. And I typically, let them know that it's not us that controls the assessments. So maybe Jack, can you help? Because I know that people are getting those now. I just got mine, and the value of the assessed value of your home is based on different things and why it's going up.
Yeah, we have an annual reassessment program in the borough, and what it's based on is comparable sales. So in good times like this, where property is appreciating in value, the values go up. In bad times, the assessment, total assessment of the whole borough goes down.
So yeah, when your neighbor sells her
Okay,
house
so-
at, 20,000 or 100,000 over asking, that's driving up the assessments.
Exactly.
So that's the environment we're in now. And in the past, that has not always been, it's a cyclical thing. So in
2008
years
things
to
crashed.
come, it's possible, maybe not in the immediate future, but probably down the road at some point, should this be a way for us to prepare for when that happens, having a capital fund? Because when assessments go down, then what happens? Like, is it a good idea for us to use this, even though it's not a huge amount, but use this to say, when the assessments go down, whenever that may happen, at least we'll have more of a capital reserves.
The ant and the
Because
grasshopper.
assessments aren't gonna keep going up, I hope. I don't know. So that was my one question. And then the other thing was about the items on the capital budget request that we did not do. Because none of the budget committee saw those, but none of the rest of the council did. So I'd be curious to see what those were and what we basically said no to, and determine if it's really something that is a need.
Well, we were going to go over that. We don't usually do that this early. We usually introduce the capital budget on the second reading of the regular budget. I can give you some examples. I don't have it in front of me, but some examples are 2 pieces of equipment that Kevin wanted. There was actually 3. It didn't make it to the capital request, but one, as Al mentioned, about the increase in street sweeping. So the DEP came up with a new rule, and we have to sweep the whole town 3 times a year. Kevin looked at the idea of buying a sweeper. That's like $350,000. We decided we could not fit that into the capital budget. So we put it in operating to, you know, hire a company or rent a sweeper 3 times a year. The police, I can't think of what they asked for that they didn't get.
I don't want to put you on the spot about it, but I think I remember in past years, we did see an entire, or
You will.
what items were asked and what
I mean,
weren't.
you'll see it.
So that would be good to know before we make this decision, is what I'm trying to
I mean, I
say.
could bring it up now if everybody wants.
Rather than keep talking about it.
Pool
and
covers.
then-
Right? Recreation asked for pool covers.
Yeah.
That's like $35,000. We decided we could get it, you know, one has a big hole in it, but we decided we were going to get rid of it. Or not get rid of it. We're going to use it again. Police asked for ballistic vests and cradle points for their cars. Ballistic vests, we decided we could get through a grant rather than, you know, use our capital. Cradle points for the car, you know, nice to have, but, you know, we put them off for another year. The fire company asked for gear that we decided they should buy with the money that we give them instead of using it for capital, taking it from capital. So there are things like that. Like I said, I could put it up here if you're interested, but it kind of goes against the conversation that's happening here because, you know, if I put that up there, I'd be asking you for more money, not less.
Right. And then the last thing that I hear a lot from residents are happy to see those push button crosswalk beacons, like the ones that just went over by Childs.
And Prospect.
So I know, and Prospect, thank you, Ross. So I think, you know, in my head, the 230,000, I could spend it like that, just based on what people are constantly asking for. Not that I want to do that, but you know, we do get a lot of feedback from people about things that they think would improve their quality of life, and we just say it's not really in the budget, whereas maybe it is.
Particularly the crosswalks, the blinking things for pedestrians. We always get people asking for those, and we just never budget for them.
Yeah, they're like $12,000 each. I mean, fortunately, the ones that we got were from the county. Those two, the two that you mentioned.
But they talk, at the Claremont, now that we have the 5 stops, which actually seems to be working most of the time, but definitely needs pedestrian improvements.
But thank you all, Budget Committee. This is very helpful.
I don't know what happened to Jeff. We lost Jeff.
So where are people?
I wonder if he lost power.
He's in Chicago, though.
Chicago.
Oh, that's right.
I'll text him.
You all make great points, with the budget here. I think, Charlie definitely, but everyone also, just kind of, realizing that we do want to bring the rate down, to be a little bit more comparable over the next several years. You've all working hard on this. Thank you.
Right. So moving on.
But the only thing about moving on is we have to introduce next week. And I don't think we have a decision yet or even guidance.
That's why I'm waiting for Jeff. I think we need another opinion here.
Nancy, what do we, or Charlie?
I'm sorry, Mayor.
Do we know what a 0.465 gets us as far as capital?
We put 100. I mean, roughly, if I just look at what Leslie had done, it's going to end up being roughly 160K into capital.
If we did the 0.465, okay.
Which is less than the recommended.
Yeah.
I thought it was 110.
No. But
6.3 was 100.
0.63 was 0.463 was 110.
No, that's additional capital. There's a reserve. Isn't there already?
There's already an 80K reserve, Rich.
Yeah.
Oh,
right.
He's recommending at least 200K as a minimum, up to 600K based on best practice for other boroughs. Right. So my 164 gets us over that 200K that I'm proposing.
Yeah. It adds 140 on top of the 80. That's the math you're doing.
I
too.
see. Got it.
Right.
Got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
At 0.464.
0.464.
And that's also assuming we spend our entire capital budget, which is not a presumed thing. Sure, for sure thing.
Make it over the bump there with 0.464.
Now, what does that get us to?
Just over the 2, yeah. 220, we said.
I mean, I'll also say, as Al said, what really moves the needle longer term is more commercial ratables, which,
Yeah, and that's why
Yeah.
This
But
is,
Berners
that's
Township's
going to
able to
be
do what they're able to
be a
do.
while.
Yeah, but we're trending that way. So are people good with that if we end up with like 464 or 465? Let's do this. As long as it gets us over the 200,000 reserve in total, we'll put the rest back into the rate.
I'm fine with that rules-based kind of approach, Al.
I like it.
So that's going to be 140 or 160 in that area.
Plus the
Is Leslie doing that?
Doing
Christine,
what?
are you good with that?
I don't.
Okay.
Where are we? So like
No, but-
465?
465 or 464, depending on what gets us over 200K, knowing that we already had 80K in reserve. We know the best practice is between 1% and 3%. We want to hit the 1% of the budget, which we estimated to be about 200K. Take the 80K off of that. It's probably a little over 200K. So we want to make sure it's probably 140K back into capital or 160K back into capital.
Leslie says she'll get you the numbers tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate the guidance, Paul.
And Nancy, please thank Leslie for sending us all these text messages to update us.
She can hear you.
Oh, she can hear us. Oh, well, thank you, Leslie.
Thank you, Leslie. Yeah,
Okay.
awesome. Amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks. And this is, a really good discussion. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay. So that will we'll introduce it next week. And now we've got a contract for janitorial services, which I think you got several prices.
Yes, we did. We reached out for proposals. We got, I think, 3 or 4 people come in. Kevin reviewed them all and he's making a recommendation. It is, I believe, $8,000 higher than who we had this past year. Just the way the contract goes for this, somehow it goes April to April. And
But there's
so
a
the
but.
contract, sorry.
There's a but though, isn't there? But
Well, yeah, the other way around. It's a good but. So it's going to be $8,000 more than the current people that we have. But kudos to Kevin again. He decided that rather than pay for people to clean the carpet several times a year, he bought a carpet cleaner and he did the math, and that will save us about $5,000. So the cleaning contract, if you take that, do the math, it was only about $3,000 more than what we're paying now. And I'll be honest, I hope that, sometimes you get what you pay for. And I'm optimistic that these people will do a good job.
And you're not real thrilled with the last people we had.
Not with the last 2 people we had. Cleaning companies are hard to find.
Yeah. Okay, sewer bill adjustment, transfer of reserves, those are all pretty standard. The community project funding is for the dam, right? Is that what we're
Yes.
looking for?
So the other day I saw a couple of weeks ago, I saw there's an email from Congressman Kane and an email from Senator Booker's office that they have federal funding available. And I read through the different categories because they're very specific. And I thought that our dam project would fit into the interior and environment section. So I asked Mary Pace Goldman, our engineer, and she said yes, taking the dam down would qualify. So I reached out because we didn't have a meeting, like I couldn't ask you, but I mean, we're asking for money here. It's not like you're going to say no. So I reached out to Millennium, asked them to put the grant application together, which they did. It was a very quick turnaround. It was due on Friday to the congressman's office and on this Friday to the senator's office. He asked for, I believe it was 2.7 million, I think. And because we asked for 700,000 from Green Acres. And I didn't want to be in the position that if we got Green Acres, we'd be overfunded by the federal government, right? So we asked for the difference. And no matter what we get, it's a win. So we will find out later in the year. It might delay the beginning of the dam project by a month or two, but to me, if we get a couple $1 million or even $1 million, it was worth it. So I believe we will have to do a resolution, right, Anthony, next week? We have to do a resolution to authorize Millennium to apply for the grant that they already applied for.
Right.
Yeah. Sounds good. You don't know unless you ask.
Yeah.
So, and then we're accepting the resignation of our construction official, which means we need to find a new one.
Right. So he is the construction official. He's also the electrical subcode official and inspector. He would like to stay on as the electrical subcode and inspector. It's just too much for him to come in every day for the construction code official. So I do have that on for executive as well to talk about salary.
Okay. Committee commission reports.
Hey, before we go there, we have 5 more resolutions that were prepared by Matt Jessup.
Oh, okay.
All of which pertain to affordable housing. 3 are authorizing escrow agreements with the 3 redevelopers and sending 2 of them for Gion and Danbro to the planning board to determine whether they qualify as areas in need of redevelopment.
Don't we have to do the study first before they can say it? Don't they have to review the study to determine if it's an area?
Well, they can do a study, so I think that's the way he's proceeding.
Matt Jessup would do the study?
No, the planning board would
Oh,
hire.
I'm sorry.
Jessica will do the study.
Oh.
Well, what if they want their planner to do the study?
I think we can tell them we'd rather have our planner do it. If we authorize Jessica to do it, we've done that in the past.
Okay.
I think the idea is to get, everything moving.
Yeah. So you'll have them all for next week?
They've all been submitted to Anthony. I think I copied you on them all.
Yes, I did.
Matt sent them to me this morning and I forwarded them on.
All right. Okay, committee commission reports. Anybody?
I had Board of Health at 6:30 at the library. It was actually the reorganization technically there. But we are, I guess there's 6 total members right now instead of 7. Just a request that we get that 7th spot filled if possible. And then also just, moving forward to the next year. And I was kind of thinking, as well with, talk about website changes and, a consultant, especially just, they were just looking for additional ideas or additional events where they could maybe, the health department of Burns Township, that is, to, administer their services, have their events, and just get more people out at those events there, because they offer a lot of different tests and services there. So but then I'm good for Board of Health, and I just got to dig out my rec stuff.
While you're doing
Somebody
that,
else want to go?
I can go quickly on EC, very short, or on the Environmental Commission, very short. Green Fair at the library, April 25th. I brought up again,
The Green Fair is, usually it's always Mother's Day weekend in May.
I believe it's April 25th.
Oh, okay.
I have it as April 25th as well. I want to get a
There you go.
full list from. Sorry.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So,
That's at the train
there's
train
Fran
station?
to confirm. No, I think it's at the library, right? Fran, we're right, April 25th. Fran's nodding. So, thank you, Fran. It came up slightly again, this Environmental Commission nonprofit. I think we talked about this in our last working session. I assume the best method, if we wanted to solicit donations for the dam eventually, I think it's been Rich's idea, to do like auction off the bricks or whatever, right? That there'd be some vehicle that people just donate directly to the town. There's not, and this is really a question for Jack, a method by which they would we want to have an environmental commission nonprofit that would accept those donations and then on behalf of the town. Like,
Yeah, similar to the Friends of the Library or that sort of thing.
They could do that. There is a merit in that, was what you're.
Well, our commission could become a nonprofit?
No. We'd have to start a nonprofit similar to the Friends of the Library or
right.
Friends of Historic Bernardsville or 501c3.
Okay, then I will explore that then to greater. I believe there's some kind of pre-existing, but I'll follow up with the commission on that then. So it would be like a Friends type setup. Awesome. That was point 2, and point 3 is Rob Wilson prepared a kind of delineation of the open space split of responsibilities between Environmental Commission and Rec. I'm going to work with him this week to kind of simplify that a little bit. And I believe he's supposed to come to council at some point. I'm not sure if that's been scheduled or not, but
if I could just comment on that,
please.
In what I saw, it was not what the council had agreed to. In fact, we'd never discussed it, that the Environmental Commission gets all of the money out of open space and then recreation gets the interest on that money. That was never discussed.
I want to work with him on that. That was my reference to that, Nancy. I agree. I believe what we originally discussed was basically having a split between the Environmental Commission, continue to look at properties that would be required for open space, Rec, any funds that post referendum can be applied to Rec. That's still responsibility of Rec. There's no principal interest, split.
Okay, because that was in the proposal.
I saw that. Yeah, I have to edit that with him.
Okay.
And it all has to be appropriated by the council.
Exactly. Yes, but we don't need to go to that level.
Yeah, understood.
Yeah, I mean, I think the idea was that it had nothing to do with funds. It was all about making recommendations as to, what those two committees thought the priorities were essentially. And then they would be up to the council to decide, to fund whatever those recommendations are in the future.
That's not what it said.
No.
Yeah,
not even.
That's going a little further than we talked about.
Yeah, it could be very, very general. Or more general.
Mm-hmm.
Less is more.
Anybody else? Oh, did you get your rec?
Oh, sorry.
Ross, no, did you have recreation?
I had rec as well, and I was just thinking because Charlie mentioned, and I think 2 more of these dates. There's like 6 events all related to the parks and everything, trails, all that stuff. The one was the Green Fair on the 25th, but I want to back it up 1 week to the 19th. There's a tree walk at the Cross Estate Garden. April 25th, Green Fair. April 26th, there is a Kirkpatrick cleanup there, and I do want to get the exact times here. Also a trail walk rather, sorry, at Kirkpatrick Park on May 2nd there. And then there's 2 more events that I accidentally destroyed with my notes, so I do want to circle back next week and get all of those announced there. But then otherwise for rec here, I was going to say we have Tom mentioned quotes coming in for the paint and tile of the pool, kind of a restoration of the pool plan for this year. He's working to get the fence at Claremont finished up by April 1st, ahead of the baseball season there. Let's see here. We have one thing. Oh, so the deal with the pool this year, and this is interesting, is that I guess Priscilla's actually going to be stocking the pool house there. It's a bit of a kind of a hybrid situation. Priscilla's stocking the pool house or the snack shack, I should say.
Great news, Ross.
And Leffler will, I guess, or I should say the lifeguards will man the shack as part of a rotation. So
I
it
think
seems
that's
to be kind
tentative
of a
still. I think that's
Nancy is excited.
contain your excitement until we get confirmation.
Nancy, how many sandwiches, Ross, do I individually have to buy for my kids to make it work for Priscilla's? Because tell me that number and I will go do that.
Like several.
70 per day.
So
it's kind of like it'll just be like at Priscilla's, they have that like to go like area, like pre-made sandwiches. It'll just be like that
I'm
kind
not
of stuff.
exactly
That's a good
sure
idea.
about what the choice is.
It would be,
but
it'd
it's
be like
stuff
the
that can
grab
be-
and go. Like if you see on the shelves in her store, if you've been in her store, it'd be like that.
Salads and sandwiches and stuff. That's good. It's a good idea. And then we could supplement that with like ice cream and soda and candy and something, all the bad things.
And then also that Tom Sylvia is getting started. Just one last thing here on the parade planning for this year. He's got a nice head start there.
Yeah.
If there's any recommendations that we I guess we talked a little bit about it,
We do have one thing because it's Bob. Oh God, I forgot his last name again. Walsh, Bob Walsh's 100th birthday, one of our vets.
Oh, wow.
And so we talked about Heartworks is doing this big event, and we talked about having a special float in the parade for Bob, with maybe the kids on it and things, and something that really recognizes his 100-year birthday in May. I think it's May something is his birthday, early May. So yeah, we're going to add that too.
We have a meeting Wednesday, Memorial Day parade meeting, so I could bring that up.
And we thought Kevin would get real excited about making a float, right?
I'm sure he would love it. He'd start tomorrow.
Okay. Anybody else? Just one thing I want to say on
Shade Tree Committee, their main what they're working on is revising the Shade Tree current ordinance. So it should be getting to us at some point. Right now they're just having it reviewed. I think Nancy saw the draft. So once they have a draft for us, we'll see that.
Right now I asked Kevin to review it, and then Jack, it'll go to Jack. I haven't read it yet.
Good. Yeah, it needed it badly. So I'm glad they took that on.
I was going to ask, is there something briefly that, they're reassessing it for, or just it's 100
It just
years old,
kept
or...
getting added on to, and like it was just needs to be kind of contained.
I'm all for it.
Yeah.
The library board did meet as well, and really the main thing, and I see Fran is still on, but it was mainly discussion about sort of her annual review and feedback. So I don't know if she's gotten that feedback yet, so I won't get into any detail. But just generally speaking, it was unsurprisingly, stellar.
Excellent. Okay, I just want to say we are doing the Outstanding Community Volunteer Awards on Monday, April 13th at the library. I've already gotten 8 nominations, and so I would like 1 or 2 of you to help me decide which, because I don't want to do 8. I think that's a little too many, like maybe do 4 to kind of review the applications and give you recommendations of what we try and find is it's not just, yes, they're a good volunteer. It's usually more of, they've started a program that's never been done before. They've invested, a lot more years than a normal person would. It's something exceptional, not just, a simple thing. So they're all good nominations, but I think some are a little more meet those criteria more than others. So whoever would like to help me review them, let me
Happy
know.
to volunteer to look at the volunteers.
Great.
I can help.
Who just said that?
Ross.
That's Ross.
Oh, Ross. Okay, I will send you copies and let me know your feedback, because usually what we try and do is, then I'll let them know that they're a winner. I'll get more of their background, and then I'll write up something for the presentation. So yeah, 8 would be a little bit much, a little too much prep. And then we'll do a little ceremony, and snacks, and it'll be nice. And then we put them up. You've seen in Borough Hall the big plaque that we put their names on there for each year that we've done them. So anyway, that was my report piece. I think that's everything. Are we done? New business, old business? No? Motion for executive? We have contract negotiations, personnel matters, and pending litigation. And
So
we will
motion.
not be coming back out, right?
No.
Motion to move to closed session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Fran. Thank you, Michael.
Take a
Sean.
short break.
I will get us off. You